Hey, welcome to Noob D&D Dad. I'm going to talk about session number 9 of the Army Veteran Group. So if you remember from the last time, the players are in the Mountains Toe Gold Mine, and they've been solving things surprisingly non-violently, which really surprised me. And they basically come to an agreement with the leader of the wererats that they are going to give the shrine of Savras to them, and that they will nobly fight to take over that shrine for the rats, so that the rats can go back to their beloved shrine of Savras. And in exchange for that, the rats have agreed to leave the mine so that Don John can take over operations. But what the rats don't know is that the players had already cleared out everything in the Shrine of Savras and actually decided, well, they hadn't quite decided yet, but they're thinking of taking it over as their own place. But they offer it to them so that they will leave the gold mine. And I'm like, wow, this is surprisingly nonviolent. But the leader of the wererats, I have her be like, yeah, that sounds great. I'm going to send someone with you to make sure it gets done. And so they had to create this scheme to be like, okay, wait here. We're going to go like take it over. They had to hurry and create a scheme so that it looks like they took it over, so that they can be like, here you go, rats, we took it over for you, even though, like I said, they had already cleared it out. Now, as far as the treasure goes in this place, you can see, where's it at? Over here. Sorry. You can see that there's 10 chunks of gold, and there's some money and some goggles of night. And so I actually had the rats give that to the players, and then they move on, but the players still need to clear it out, right? So they still need to go through all of these various little rooms. And I really was not expecting them to solve the problem so non-violently. And so as they're searching the cave, I'm like, man, there's no like treasure in this cave. There's a few things that they encounter, but I'm like, I'm gonna have to come up with some treasure in here. Also, I wanted to up the risk factor of the cave, even though all the bad guys left and they did a great job. I didn't want it to be totally risk-free. So I had a goal that I would have portions of the cave collapse, and I was really, really this is terrible, but I was really, really trying to have portions of the cave collapse and separate the players. I really wanted that to happen, but I would have had to force it so hard. So things were collapsing. Well, I'll tell you what I collapsed. I collapsed outside of M10, so like right there, boop, and below M12. So I collapsed this corridor as well. So they had to go long ways around. But with the veterans group specifically, because I'm DMing for my son as well, for the same campaign. But in the veterans group specifically, I've been really enjoying traps, and some of them are really obvious, but that's fine. So I had there was a box that had a skull on it, and of course they tried to open it from far away with mage hand or whatever they do, but then it's like a fireball. It shoots a fireball out of it. And then I had other rooms be full of like rat poo and stuff, like, because for the veterans group I can make it like a little bit grosser and more visceral. And I actually invented a magic item for this level. It's called a half cloak of swagger, and basically it's like a Lando-sized cloak, so it kind of goes down to his waist if you're a human size, and it is gold edges with swirly purple on the inside, and it gives you +1 to charisma, and you have to attune to it. So I was very excited to have the group find that and see who would take it and what they would do with it. I also had a spring trap. So they open a box and it spring shoots out. I can't remember what was at the end of the spring, but I have basically it shoots something out. And then I have them come across giant rats, because the giant rats aren't intelligent and they still want to live there. So they fight giant rats. And then one of my favorite monsters ever to control is coming up here in a second. But I wanted to talk about another trap. So they find a footlocker in one of the rooms with 4 lanterns that are full of oil. So it's basically meant to be like a oily firebomb, but that one misfired. And I try to present things too, just like weird objects, to see if they'll keep them. Like on another place, the rogue disarmed a trap and it was like a poison, And so he has like this little like squishy bag of poison that can turn into an aerosol. I have no idea when they're going to use it, but it's fun to see the kind of things that I can help them gather on the way and then see how they creatively use it later. I also had the players find some silvered weapons, and the idea was that the big bad lady of the rats, the wererats, had the silvered weapons so that she could kill her own people. I just thought it was a little twist I wanted to add in there. All right, now they find this scary, slimy carrion crawler in one of the caves, and this thing is so versatile and has such cool abilities, and I love controlling it, and I love having it just be so slimy. Like when they open the door, there's just like slime dripping down, and you can see the lights through the slime. I didn't quite do the Independence Day strobe light thing with these guys like I did in my son's group when they encountered this, but I love how slimy it is. And like when the paladin like hits it with a hammer, I have it like split open and like guts come out, like on Empire Strikes Back when Han cuts open the tauntaun and its guts come out. So I just kind of describe it like that. And I didn't have, so in my son's group when they encountered this part, when they killed it, I had like little baby versions of it kind of come out, but in this one I didn't do that. But it's actually, let's look at the damage that it did to these guys. So it did some piercing damage and some poison damage, but I really like controlling the carrion crawler. And so kind of going back to the cave exploration a little bit, there's a stabbed to death miner down one of the hallways, and of course they go loot it, and I have them take a wedding ring off of the guy. And the rogue, he's like, I take it, right? I'm like, there's a wedding ring on the hand. He takes it, and on the inside it says Claire. And then they're like, I check the pockets. He's like, is there anything in the pockets? And I just like look at him, and I'm like, blood. So they like stick their hand in the pocket and get all this blood on them. I guess I want to convey that it's not always like pleasant or appropriate to just loot everybody, but I know it's in his character. But I do want to like convey that you might encounter some unpleasant things if you're sticking hands in dead people's pockets. So once these guys do finally make it out of the cave, I have 4 of the wererats come back, and because the book says that they will betray them if they come to any agreement, and I'm just like, here we go. But in my head, so all the rats are back at the shrine of Savras, and they're good to stay there. But 4 of the rats decided they also wanted the gold mine. So keep in mind, the 4 rats do not represent, in my mind, what the whole rest of the rats were thinking, right? So these 4 rats are like, that's our gold mine. And they're like, what? No, we gave you this other place. Like, you can't have this back. And they're like, we want both places, right? Again, we being only those 4 guys. And so the players just like totally fight them. And no one's failed a constitution saving throw on getting bit by a wererat. I keep trying to get people to turn into wererats. I did get my little nephew to turn into a wererat in my son's campaign. So that's cool. But none of the army vets have been turned into wererats yet. And so they kill all these guys. And then, so now we're getting into session 10, which I'm going to stop here in a second. But at the very beginning of session 10, they kill these wererats. And they're like, so the rogue specifically, he's so mad. He's like, we gave them this place, and they came back to take it back over from us, or to take the gold mine over. And he's like, we need to go to the shrine and kill them all. I'm just like, what? Like, I was getting my notes ready. I was like, okay, cool. They killed these guys. Now they're going to head on to the loggers quest, the loggers camp, right? Because that's the other quest they took. So I'm like, yeah, that's where they're going to go. So it's just another example of that the players will be totally unpredictable. And it makes it fun for me, because I thought this was just going to be 4 rats that they kill. And they're like, man, those guys are mean. And they leave. But no, they kill the 4 wererats, and they're like, now we have to kill all the rats. We're going to go back to the shrine, and we're going to kill all of them. We're just like, oh my gosh. And the paladin is a little bit more righteous, so they have to convince him that this is a good thing to do. Anyway, so they set off. So session 10 starts with them setting off to go slaughter the rats at the shrine, and they do it in a very unique and interesting way, which I will tell you in another video. So this has been session 9 of me being a new DM in the Army Veterans group. So if you like this kind of thing, stay tuned for more like this, and let me know what you think. I love to hear from you guys. So see you on the next one. Bye.